First of all, thank you so much for this opportunity. We're really happy to be here, especially with good old friends and new friends as well. And yeah, coming back to your question, I think growing up in a remote place was really special in my case in the 80s, and I'm giving away my age. We used to see the environment in a different way. So seeing a Milky Way is really normal. Seeing many stars is also something that we grew up with. So that was probably the beginning of maybe starting to ask the big questions. And on top of that, yes, we had a good reach for education. I attended a public school, subject like science, geography, chemistry, all of that was available. So also that this would feed the curiosity at such age. So yeah, I'm really grateful to have that service at that time when we had so little to live with.
You spoke about something important, that it was all available. So how has the UAE's national choice help you, or policy help you with your educational choices?
Well, education was one big element of building the nation. So the late Sheikh Zayed was really focusing on a strategic level. So the idea was not to bring everybody to bigger cities. No, the idea was to provide services, education, healthcare, roads, and all that in the places of Bedouins, for example. So our grandfathers stayed where we grew up, and all the services came, starting in a modest level, and then it became bigger and bigger. So more schools, more roads, more services. And then that was all before the availability of the internet. But after that, it became also something that we utilized, I mean, reaching beyond our country. So yeah, we're really grateful for the visionary let's say, leadership of the late Sheikh Zayed.
You spoke about something very important, the internet. So the internet has changed the world and education as we know it. So does education still mean a school with a building and a classroom, or has the meaning of access fundamentally changed?
Well, I think the basic ideas are available in the text box, or maybe you see it in a cartoon, seeing maybe some heroes fighting some aliens, and yeah, so all of these ideas are available. But when it comes to connectivity, you start to probably apply some of the things that you saw as a start, or maybe see different versions of your same story of a remote maybe person in a different country, and then you see the other side of the world, what they're doing with their ideas. So I think, yeah, connectivity, although it was like something like dial-up or maybe the early ages of broadband, that opened, let's say, a door to us to see what's beyond our country as well.
Ryan, so if education nowadays increasingly lives online, then access to education begins with connectivity, with that logic. So why is connectivity now the baseline for education?
Yeah, it's a great question. First off, let me also express my appreciation for the invitation to be here. This is a great honor, and it's wonderful to return to a place that I called home for many years. Look, one of the great things about working at SpaceX and on the Starlink program is that everybody has a story about what motivated them to become part of the mission. For me, that was a situation in 2014. I was at an air show. I used to work for Rolls-Royce, and I was at an air show in Rwanda, and doing the typical handing out keychains representing the brand. And a young student, maybe 15 years old, came up, and he was wearing clothing that was clearly the best he had, but it left a lot to be desired. And he had a pen and paper in his hand, and he said to me, "How do I be like you?" And after expressing caution over what you wish for, I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "I want to be an engineer that works for a company like Rolls-Royce." I said, this is fantastic. I took a paper, I wrote down some classes, I said, study these following subjects. To which he replied, "Where do I get this information?" I said, "Go to your library." "Well, my village doesn't have a library," he said. I was like, "Okay, well, MIT offers a lot of these courses for free, so go to these websites." He said, "Okay, but my village doesn't have internet." And that was a very impactful moment for me, because it was the first time I realized that access to something that I took for granted was something that was out of the reach of many people around the world. And to this day, millions of people lack access to basic connectivity for a plethora of reasons. But transformation of the world starts with the youth, and it starts with education. So bridging that digital divide is important in bringing access to everyone, but if you can start by bringing up a generation into the digital world, by connecting people, that is how you really change the trajectory of nations.
But also, connectivity is not enough alone to deliver education. Is that true?
Well, that's absolutely true. I think there have been many attempts in the past to connect schools to the internet. I mean, for instance, Starlink is a satellite internet constellation. Satellite internet is not new. Satellite internet's been around for decades, but it's developed a reputation of being slow, unaffordable, unreliable. Starlink addresses all of those issues, and for the first time in history is able to bring meaningful connectivity to every square kilometer of the planet. But just bringing connectivity doesn't actually do anything if the students don't have a means by which they can utilize the connectivity. Whether the school is bought into the idea of bringing digital education into the classroom, there's an acceptance element of this. But then you have to think of things that are even beyond that. Many schools don't have power. Many schools don't teach in languages with which the internet is written. 90% of the internet is in 10 languages. So if you are going to really bring digital education into the classrooms for a vast percentage of the people that are unconnected today, you need an ecosystem to surround just that connectivity which Starlink can provide.
Your Excellency, so in your case, you said the vision of the leadership helped connect the UAE in a way that things were more accessible. But in countries that have remote villages that really don't have access, how can issues like connectivity or solutions like connectivity help these children?
Well, absolutely. As I mentioned, I think small ideas can grow big with the availability of different examples or maybe methods to be able to apply some of the ideas that you have. So I can give you an example during my mission, which I flew with SpaceX, and thanks to Ryan, he gave me a good reminder of the vehicle I flew with, the SpaceX Dragon. Yeah, so we flew to the International Space Station. We had different means to connect with the ground. So one of the profound moments is actually when you see planet Earth, and with that altitude and speed and just covering the whole globe in 92 minutes, seeing different topologies and seeing different features of Earth. And you think about the people who are living there. It was really like an eye-opener that we live on a vast planet, and we need to, as we work on board the station as one family, different nations, we need to bring this back to Earth. So one of the things that we used to do is to communicate with schools, universities, through different means. One of the favorite tasks I used to do is connecting through ham radios. So I would talk to schools in Brazil, Japan, and different continents, and sharing the ideas and sharing the environment that we live on board as astronauts. So I think it's an eye-opener to have a good source of connectivity, and then a way to interact, or maybe apply an idea, or maybe work on a programming level. So all of that is really important with the availability of the connectivity like Starlink.
And that's exactly what today's announcement was about. This morning, Starlink signed a collaboration with the Digital School, part of His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum's global initiatives. And with that, I leave you to a very heartwarming video.
Before connection.
My biggest worry that the horizon within which our students learn is very narrow. They rely entirely on teachers and textbooks, which are not sufficient.
Is that clear?
The first time I used the internet, I was scared. But it was like magic. Everything changed compared to the older days.
Well, kindness.
I grow up, I want to be an astronaut. An astronaut is someone who discovers space and tells us on Earth what the beautiful things that happen in space. Very thankful to digital school and Starlink, because now with these computers, reaching our goals will be very close in the near future.
Ryan, so we saw a child say in the video, when I first saw the internet, I was scared. Did that remind you of the child you met who said he didn't have access to the internet?
I mean, absolutely. I think there's a universal desire to try and bridge this digital divide. And there's the technology component. There is the connectivity itself. There's also the curriculum, but community buy-in is almost the most important element of all of this. And so you have to introduce the technology in a way in which people can see value in that connectivity and overcome fears like that young child exhibited. But what I really took away from the video, and the thing that makes me so happy to be here working with the digital school, is that this is a project in execution, right? It's not just an idea or wishes of what we want to do. It's actually today connecting these students to the internet for the first time, giving them opportunity. And while the connectivity gap remains among a large part of the world, the desire for these students, this inherent desire inside of them to do something with their life, like become an astronaut, that remains. And so all we have to do is release that potential and give them the opportunity to have access to the information that will enable that future. And so that's my main takeaway from the video. And I look at that child, and yes, it resonates with me, but I think it would resonate with almost everybody at SpaceX, because the mission is to help, bring access to information to people around the world.
Your Excellency, so we saw also a child say when he wants to grow up, he wants to be an astronaut.
Okay. It's really nice to go and talk to youngsters, and this is my favorite part of my job, is go and communicate with these ideas that really intriguing. And just seeing myself in these kids is really amazing. And they ask the bigger questions sometimes. How can we go there as humans? They don't say, I want to go there by myself. They want to go there as a group, maybe the class or the whole nation. And I think this is the essence of going to space, just working together as humanity, challenging ourselves, yes, and then maybe finding solutions to the challenges of space. So this is the best part of my job, is going everywhere, visiting different nations, different schools, that they're all sharing the same ideas, just working together as one big family.
So in the earlier panel, we were saying that education and healthcare are the most important things, and if you have them, you're good to go. So after seeing these children get the education that they deserve, do you think they can unlock the impossible? For example, like being an astronaut?
Well, there is obviously impossible is possible. This is a slogan of the UAE, and it does work when you have good partnerships, when you have a good vision, when you invest. It doesn't have to be so much. You invest enough to provide these services and overcome the challenges. So definitely, we can achieve so many things when we work together. And I think such a partnership with Starlink and the Mohammed bin Rashid Global Initiatives, I think it's a great testament to that as well.
Ryan, you said, so everyone at Starlink has a story of why they joined. And you said your story. Do you feel that it's being fulfilled when you see such initiatives?
Well, certainly this is an example of progress. I think a lot of people don't realize that Starlink makes a great effort to step in and help in situations where connectivity is critical. And we do this all over the world in countries in which we have service, whether that be the recent situation in Indonesia where there was flooding in northern Sumatra. Starlink, because of the flexibility of the technology and because it brings immediate broadband connectivity to any place that we need it, we were able within 24 hours to get the emergency responders completely connected to go in and help with the rescue efforts to save lives. And there's countless examples of like that, situations like that. And so I do think that it is being fulfilled. But I think that there's so much more that can be done all over the world that it will always be a target that we're continuously chasing, right? Because technology evolves, the problems evolve, and so therefore the solutions have to evolve. And it's exciting to be part of a company that innovates so rapidly to help address those. And yes, I mean, short answer is yes, I do think it is helping, but there's a long way to go and there's more we can do.
Going back to an earlier question, so when we said that connectivity alone is not enough, how do we ensure this collaboration? Is it through partnerships with with the digital school to ensure that education is manifested with Starlink's connectivity?
Yes, so the connectivity is there, right? That's our contribution. And at SpaceX, we're really good at what we're really good at, and we try to focus on that. But the organization that you wrap around that is the one that is deploying the connectivity, whether that be the digital school or it be one of our enterprise partners around the world, that's really the core to whether or not, or the key to whether or not this will be successful, right? And so, you know, there's been no shortage of attempts to bridge the digital divide and connect schools around the world historically. But a lot of those projects have not come to fulfillment because the right people didn't come together and operate successfully and didn't commit to the sustainability of the initiative. And I think that that's what we have in a unique situation here, and we're very excited about it because the UAE has shown that they have an incredible commitment to outreach around the world, to digital education specifically here with the digital school, and so being associated with an organization that has that reputation and in that level of commitment for the long-term vision gives us a sense of comfort that it's not just going to be a ribbon-cutting exercise and then 12 months later the students aren't receiving connectivity or the benefits of it. So yes, very excited.
Your Excellency, so the same question to you. How important are these types of partnerships to ensure that both education is brought by connectivity and a proper curricula?
I think we don't have to reinvent the wheel. There are so many global frameworks that are promoting for sustainable development, talking about initiatives globally by the UN and regionally by great champions of these goals. So, and I think the Mohammed bin Rashid Global Initiative or initiatives is a great example. All it takes is a goodwill between different partners and seeing the goal and seeing the benefit behind these partnerships. And I think this is the right for every child to receive good education, good connectivity, and good, let's say, window to the world. What concerns me is actually the acceleration in the amount of digital enablements. Now, yes, maybe there was a gap, but this gap is growing faster and bigger by the second. So we need to bring or make that gap smaller with the availability of the common technology and the connectivity. And I think, yeah, again, if we have the will, we have the North Star set, I think we can achieve wonders.
So the priority would be to reduce that gap when it comes to the technological innovations.
Absolutely,
correct?
yes.
So can every child access education? Today's conversation shows that when vision, technology, and purpose align, the answer can be yes. Your Excellency, Ryan, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.